Hey, what's up guys? Riley Chase here, and in this video I'm going to talk about finding your first customers and eventually product market fit. I'm making this video because I got a message on Twitter the other day from Wal, and he said, hi, thanks for putting out your videos. I'm targeting SMB with a no-code platform for database apps, and I was wondering how you targeted SMB. How do you do marketing and sales? And if you don't mind sharing in a video or DM. So I decided to make this video, and this is a topic that I've talked about in the past. I wrote a blog post about finding my first 10 customers, and what's really exciting about finding your first 10 customers is it's really really hard. But if you can do it, if you can get 10 people who don't know you to pay for your product or service, then you're going to be able to get to 100 because that's just the way it works. If you can't sell it to 10 people, then it's probably a failure. But if you can get 10 people, you probably can get 100. If you can get 100, you can probably get 1,000. So finding your first 10 customers is critical. My first thing is, going back to his message here, he said, how do you target SMB? I never targeted SMB. I think there's a little bit of confusion because in my last video, I said I'm making, I recommend people make a SaaS product for SMB, don't make a product for enterprise. But I never targeted SMB. I think there's some confusion there. You want to make sure you're building something in a niche. SMB is like it's like targeting any human with a pulse. It's a huge market, and so you want to hopefully you're building something in a niche, and you're going after that smaller market and then finding people within that market. So find out where people who need the thing that you've built hang out. So ideally you've built your product to solve a problem, and you want to be able to find where people are online or maybe even offline who have that problem. You want to go there, make yourself known just by being a helpful person, help people, talk with them about the problems they're trying to solve, and just get to know more about the people that you're solving this problem for. And if you can't think of where these people hang out, and you can't think of a forum or something, there's no one place where these people congregate, that's probably a good indicator that your idea is not going to work out. So just keep that in mind. There is a really great blog post here that I'm linking to, chapter 5 of Tyler Tringus's Micro SaaS ebook. He talks about how to get your first customers, and so he mentions forums and all these different places. So I highly recommend taking a look at that. And I'll talk about my experience building Hostify. The market that I was going after was anyone. When I first started out, my market was anyone who uses Ubiquity equipment was a potential customer for Hostify. And later, I'll talk about this later, as I found product market fit, it got even smaller than that. So, but it started off, as a pretty small, if you put SMB over here, it's huge. And then people who use Ubiquity equipment, that's a much smaller, maybe a couple million people or something. And then from there, I really cut it down to, once I found product market fit, I'll talk about that later, I cut it down to even a smaller group of people. So, but right away, I had a group in mind, and there were places on the internet where these people congregate. So I'll talk about that in a minute. But initially, with no brand, no SEO, no social media followers, this was me starting Hostify. I didn't have an audience. A lot of people, and this is a great way to do it if you can. If you build up an audience of people, one person that comes to mind is Peter Levels. So before he started Nomad List, he built up an audience from writing a blog about traveling, and so he already had like this massive audience, and then he built a product for people who were already following him. And so he had like this immediate, customer base of people he could talk to, and he already knew the problem well, and people were following him. So if you can build an audience first, that's great. But, myself, I didn't build an audience first. I had no brand, I had no SEO, I had no, credibility, no connections, no social media followers. So it's really hard to get any inbound interest. I didn't have an email list. I could just reach out to a bunch of people. So I had to start from ground zero. And on day one, I started working on inbound. So I started setting up my social media accounts, and I started, I created my website, and eventually it got SEO ranking, and now it's first organic result for a lot of related search terms, and that's how we get a lot of our traffic is through SEO. But that takes months or years to get those inbound leads flowing and stuff. So start my advice is, start working on your inbound right away, because it takes a long time. So you want to start making those first steps, setting up your social media accounts, posting a couple times a week. Nobody's going to follow a social media account that was just set up yesterday and has no posts. So it takes months, it takes years to build, one step at a time, daily effort, posting on social media, writing blog posts, making YouTube videos, and contributing content in communities. And that all is the inbound side, which is super important. But at first, you're not going to have that. So I recommend doing outbound while you wait. And today we don't do any outbound. I don't have salespeople calling people up trying to sell them our product. It's all inbound. People come looking for us because we're out there. Like I said, on social media, SEO, YouTube, all this stuff. So but you want to start doing outbound in the beginning, because it's the only way you're going to get to talk to people. So you want to just reach out to people, and just talk to them about their problems. Don't be trying to sell people. Just find people who would be what you think is your target customer, because you don't really know yet, and just talk to them about the problems they're having, and how maybe just let them know you're trying to build something that could solve this problem and you'd like their feedback on it. That's a great way to get started. And a lot of people would be open to talking to you if you just ask them in that way, not saying, hey, do you want this 50% off coupon, get started today, or some spammy crap like that. Just talk to people and get their advice. Just say, you're trying to build this thing and you've got them in mind, and how would this help them, and get their feedback. So that's how to do outbound properly, I think. And in the beginning, you need to just, when you're trying to find your first 10 customers, you need to do a lot of things. You need to just keep trying, keep learning. When I started off, I didn't know how to talk to people properly, or how to not be spammy. I got myself banned from Reddit threads, and I was spamming. I was out there, hey, have you guys heard about Hostify, or check out this link, or we're the cheapest provider, saying stupid stuff like that. That's a lot of rookie mistakes. Is like talking about how cheap you are, or that's just not, or just spamming in general. You don't go out and just talk about your business, and spam it. You want to go out with the mindset of making friends with people, providing value, and that's the right way to do it. But anyways, yeah, just keep trying new things, keep learning, and once you find something that works. So for me, I tried a whole bunch of things. Nothing was working, mainly because I was kind of spamming and sounding desperate. And one thing that did work, though, was basically I was curating Ubiquity content on a Twitter profile. So I created the Twitter profile at hostify_net. And that's where I first got a little bit of success. I wasn't spamming on there. I was just liking and following and retweeting people who were talking about Ubiquity stuff. And before you know it, I had 100 followers, and I was getting into some conversations with people, and it was going really just naturally and organically. And so I think I have a picture in my blog post in the month of June. So the first month in business, I got 10,000 impressions on Twitter, which today to me that's nothing. But that was 600 people looked at my profile, and so that was how I got probably how I got my first customers. It's hard to know exactly, but I think Twitter was how I got my first customers. So like I said, I have a blog post, more information about that if you want to read about it. And eventually, after I got a number of customers, I started to recognize a pattern. So I'd say, I don't know exactly when it was, but it was pretty apparent early on this pattern had emerged. Almost everyone who was signing up were IT service businesses. And I had 3 plans on my website. I had a $5 plan, a $10 plan, and a $15 plan, which, of course, really cheap. I don't recommend starting with pricing that cheap. But the $15 plan kept getting bought by IT service businesses. The $10 plan never got bought. And then the $5 plan was getting bought by people with Gmail addresses. And so I can kind of assume that they're just like home users and stuff like that. So what was interesting, though, is the people who were paying the most amount of money, the $15 per month, they would have less support questions. They wouldn't cancel as often. And later, this is much later, but as I continue to raise prices and raise prices and raise prices, the IT service businesses are still telling me this is cheap, this is this huge value, love this service. And so, that's kind of how I found product market fit. Like, this is a solution that is best for this group of people. So once I kind of discovered that, I started to lean into it. So I updated our website to say we are unified cloud hosting specifically for IT service providers. Started to look for IT service business communities on Facebook, Reddit, Slack, forums. So at first, I was looking for anyone in the world who uses Unify or Ubiquiti equipment. And now I've found product market fit and I'm leaning into that. And so now I'm looking at I'm only interested in talking to people who are IT service business owners who use Unify equipment. So it's even a smaller niche within a niche. And that's where things started to really take off. So I became involved as a sponsor, so that means on Facebook there's a group called the IT Business Owners Group, and I'm able to pay money to be a sponsor of the group and have my name as part of the group. I'm able to post about my business in there, and so I became just a contributor in these different areas. And when I say a contributor, I'm not contributing. Go buy my product. I'm contributing like here's my experience because I just happen to be also an IT business owner. I talk about my experiences. I talk about stuff that I could teach them. Here's this. Here's what's going on with Ubiquiti stuff. So it's providing a value to them. And then I have a Twitter thread here where I talked about all the different marketing channels I use today, and so check that out if you're interested in learning more about the Slack and the forums and the Facebook groups and all the stuff I'm doing. It's really important to find product market fit because once you do that, everything else falls into place. In your marketing, you're going to be saying the right things. In your sales, you're going to be looking for the right people. In your product, you're going to be building the right features. And so if I had, let's say, not discovered product market fit and I thought, I was going to continue going after anyone who is using Unify in the whole world, in my marketing, I might be saying things that homeowners or home users wanted to hear instead of IT business owners. In my sales, I might be reaching out to people who have Unify stuff at their homes, and it'd be wasting my time because they're going to cancel. They're going to have a lot more support requests. In my product, I might be building features for them that the IT service business owner doesn't need. And so if I'm trying to build for everyone, I'm actually turning away the people who are going to pay the most and are going to be the best customer in favor of trying to build for everyone. So you don't want to build for everyone. You want to find out there needs to be a big enough market where you can have a business, but you need to find a segment of customer who's going to pay well and going to be really stoked about your product. And for the people who are kind of interested, just get rid of those people and just focus on people who are super stoked about it. Okay, so in conclusion, SMB is not a target market, and SMB will never become product market fit for your business. In my case, IT service providers were the ones bringing my product to the SMB, and it's a good thing because they're shielding me from dealing with the non-technical people. So this is just something to keep in mind. I don't know if there's any similarity in this guy's business. To hit me up on Twitter or anyone watching, but in the case of a no-code platform, maybe your target market isn't SMB, but it's actually a development or marketing agency who's creating a solution for an SMB customer. But like with the IT service provider on my side, they're kind of shielding you from dealing with non-technical people, because if you're dealing directly with like a coffee shop owner or something like that, it might be really difficult, especially with a technical platform like what I have, or like a no-code platform. Even though it's not code, it's still highly technical stuff. So having a kind of a middleman, like a reseller in the middle, can be really helpful. Start building the inbound machine early on. So like I said, it takes a long time. You got to build up these social media accounts. They got to have some age to them. They got to have a lot of posts before people are going to follow you. You got to provide free, valuable information, blog posts, YouTube, podcast episodes. But don't wait for the inbound to work, because it takes a long time. So go out there, be building the inbound, but go out there and talk to people. And like I said earlier, don't sell people, just talk to them about their problems, learn from them, and just most importantly, build the right friends and the right connections, not just customers. So an example of this is people who are well connected with your customer type. They might have adjacent businesses. So like in my example, becoming friends with other people who are selling to the IT business owners. That can be really helpful because they've already spent time establishing their own reputation, learning, meeting people, and you can learn a lot from them too. All right, so that's all I've got about finding your first customers and eventually product market fit. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me on Twitter. You can message me at _artchase_. And if you have another video request for me, let me know. Thanks.